Chapter 3, Mishnah 3. The Mishnah continues to teach how the mei chatas was prepared for sprinkling on the Kohen who will burn the Parah. After filling their stone cups with water at the Shiloach spring and going back up onto their bowls, the children rode to the Temple Mount. Upon reaching the Temple Mount, they got down off the bulls and continued on foot. There was empty space between the Temple Mount and the courtyards of the Beis Hamikdash. That is, these places were not built directly on the ground, but were supported by arches, so that there was space between them and the ground below. They were built in this manner because there might be an unknown grave in the ground beneath the Temple Mount and the courtyards, and the space would then prevent the tumah of such a grave from rising into these areas and contaminating the people and utensils there. In view of the fact that the Temple Mount was protected from corpse tumah, the children could walk on it to the place where the ashes of the previous paradumas were stored. The next step in the procedure was to remove the ashes from the jug in which they were kept. The sages did not allow one of the children or anyone else to remove the ashes with his hands or with a utensil, because he might be a zav, who would make the ashes tameh by causing them to move. To avoid this problem, the following procedure was used instead. At the entrance to the woman's courtyard, a jug of chatas ashes was prepared, i.e. stored. They would bring a male sheep and tie a rope between its horns, and tie the other end of the rope to a stick. One of them would wrap the far end of the rope around the stick several times, and throw the stick into the jug of ashes. Then one of them would hit the sheep so that it jumped backwards out of surprise. When it jumped backwards, it pulled the stick out of the ashes. Some ashes were caught between the layers of the rope that was wrapped around the stick. One of them would take the ashes from between the layers of the rope and sanctify the water with them. That is, he mixed the ashes into the water in the stone cups, thereby turning the ordinary water into sacred mei chatas. He would add enough ashes to the water that some of the ashes could be seen on the surface of the water. This method of removing the ashes from the jug was preferable to having a person remove them with his hands or with a utensil, for fear that the person is a zav, who would make the ashes tameh by moving them. Rabbi Yossi held that they did not use a sheep and a stick to remove the ashes. Rabbi Yossi says, do not give the Sadducees an opportunity to degrade the sages. Removing the ashes from the jug in this manner is a strange procedure that the Sadducees would mock. Rather, someone would take the ashes by hand directly from the jug and consecrate the water with them.